All right, here's part two. Yesterday, we were answering a question from Dennis in Clinton, Maryland, who asked what the differences were between the Arnie Nudell of Infinity, his IRS Killers, and what we came up with as a replacement for these and why in the FR30. And yesterday we went at way over time. I think it was 7-8 minutes worth of just babbling about servos and why we didn't go with what this has, which is an active servo woofer. So if you're curious about that and the woofers, head back to yesterday's, not a post, it's a video. So go back to yesterday's video and you can learn all about my thoughts of what Chris and Darren taught me about servo woofers and why building a state-of-the-art woofer and then running it passively with a great amplifier is far better. Okay, so what else? So we also know that what we did take away from the Arnie thing is that we wanted ribbons and planar or planars on the mid-range and on the tweeters, which the FR30 has. Okay, we also wanted a rear tweeter, which was kind of Arnie's hallmark, and the FR30 has it. Other than that, that's about all we kept. I mean, I know this shape is interesting, but I've never been a huge fan of it. A lot of people, it's a love-hate relationship, so we wanted a different shape. And because we didn't have a servo woofer and didn't want to go with side-mounted 12s, what we decided to do, and Chris convinced me, and all this convincing that Chris does, he has to prove it to me in sonic terms. So he has to set these things up and show me. And what we wound up with is passive radiators on the side and multiple woofers on the front, but smaller ones because we wanted to keep the baffle small, like this. I mean, this is a 6.5-inch woofer, and ours are 8s, so it's about the same size, right? And then the mid-bass coupler. So we didn't stay with the mid-bass coupler, and it's really good, but one of Chris's feelings, and why we didn't go with it on the FR30, is there's too big of a disparity in that very critical region when you're using a cone. You can do it, and Chris proposed at one point of designing from the ground up a state-of-the-art mid-bass coupler. We just decided at the end of the day, his woofers are so good and they go up high enough with such fidelity and precision that there was really no need for this, and we avoid the rest of the crossover. So what we wound up on the FR30, of course, is our mid-range and our tweeter that are both planar ribbons, and the woofers, he uses the Chris designed state-of-the-art low distortion woofers that have this high excursion, and the rest of it's done in the crossover. And that overall just blows the socks off of this guy. I mean, I love this speaker, it's great, but once you hear the FR30, there's no going back. There just isn't. These are still amazing speakers. They're still for sale if anybody wants to own a one-of-a-kind classic in the world. You can reach out to me, paul@psaudio.com, and I'll connect you up with Arnie Nudell's son, David, and you guys can haggle it out. But that's, in essence, the difference between the two. Those are the reasons that we did it, because it sounds better. We came up with something better, but I couldn't do it. It took somebody like Chris Brunhaver, who is I don't want to puff his head up, but I think Chris is a genius. I have never met anybody that knows more or even close to as much as Chris Brunhaver when it comes to designing drivers and speakers. I mean, this guy is a walking encyclopedia. We look at, he'll show me on the tweeter, and he'll bring, because he loves to yak, and I like to hear it. He'll bring me over, I'm doing something, and he, come here. And he'll show me his latest measurement, and it's of the tweeter. This just happened like yesterday. And the tweeter's got this nice flat response, and all of a sudden, whoop, there's a little 7 kilohertz. He calls them a bobble, just a little bobble. Now I'm looking at that thinking, that's some kind of resonance somewhere. And of course, he's got it completely figured out. Turns out This is like a dB or two. It's not like, who cares? I mean, but Chris is a perfectionist, if nothing else. There's a little tiny gap between the ribbon and the frame, and that particular, and he calculates this out. Well, maybe it's that gap. Let me calculate the size of the gap. Let me calculate the wavelength coming off, and like, bingo, they match. So then he fills in that tiny little gap, measures it again, flat, gone. I mean, I watched this guy perfect over and over and over. And you know, Arnie, bless his heart, just used off-the-shelf drivers. And they were good drivers, and he would fix whatever's wrong as best he could in the crossover. So, yeah, I mean, the opportunity to hook up with a true perfectionist in every respect. He drives me nuts sometimes, but wow, does he make some good stuff. Okay. Thanks for watching both parts of this series. I do appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.